Picture this, the early 20th century, an era of innovation and grandeur. It was in this vibrant backdrop that the Titanic came to life. This colossal ship was not just an engineering marvel, it was a symbol of human ambition and progress. The construction of the Titanic was a spectacle to behold, a testament to the power of human ingenuity. Crafted meticulously over 2 years, she was the largest moving object ever built by humans at that time. But the Titanic was not just about size, it was about luxury. With opulent interiors, the finest cuisine, and unparalleled comforts, she was truly a floating palace. Her maiden voyage was eagerly awaited by all, a journey that promised to redefine ocean travel. But even as the excitement buzzed, the champagne bottles popped, and the Titanic set sail on April 10, 1912, little did anyone know the tragic fate that awaited. The Titanic embarks on its maiden voyage, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of many. This colossal vessel, a marvel of human ingenuity, was more than just a ship. It was a microcosm of society, a floating city that mirrored the world beyond its steel walls. At the top of the ship's hierarchy, we find the crème de la crème of society, the wealthiest people in the world. These were individuals of immense influence and power, people who saw the Titanic as the epitome of luxury and grandeur. They were drawn to its opulence, its promise of an unforgettable voyage across the Atlantic. But the Titanic wasn't just for the rich and powerful. It was a beacon of hope for many immigrants dreaming of a new life in America. They traveled in the ship's third class, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation. Despite the cramped conditions and the stark contrast to the luxury above, they saw the Titanic as a vessel of dreams, a ship that would transport them to a world of opportunities. The ship set sail from Southampton, charting a course for New York. Each churn of its mighty engines carried it closer to its destiny, a journey fraught with anticipation and excitement. But unbeknownst to the passengers and crew, a silent menace loomed ahead. As the Titanic sailed towards its destiny, an iceberg lay in its path, silently waiting. The night of April 14th, 1912, would forever be etched in history. It was a night of calm, clear skies. But beneath this tranquility lurked a silent and deadly menace: an iceberg. On the Titanic's bridge, the officers were making routine navigational checks when suddenly a lookout spotted a towering mass of ice directly in the ship's path. The bell rang out, its sound cutting through the silent night like a knife. A warning was relayed to the bridge: "Iceberg right ahead." Reacting swiftly, First Officer Murdoch ordered both the ship's wheel to be turned hard to port and the engines to be put in reverse. But the Titanic was no small vessel, weighing in at an astonishing 46,000 tons and stretching over 880 feet long. She was a behemoth of steel and iron. It took time for such a colossal ship to respond. Despite the crew's frantic efforts, the Titanic couldn't avoid a collision. With a dreadful, grinding sound echoing through the night, the iceberg scraped along the ship's starboard side. It was a glancing blow, but a fatal one. The iceberg didn't puncture the Titanic's hull as one might puncture a balloon. Rather, it buckled the plates and popped the rivets along a nearly 300 feet long section of the hull, allowing the freezing seawater to pour in. The ship was designed to stay afloat with up to 4 of its compartments flooded. But this was different. 5 compartments were compromised. The water was rushing in faster than the pumps could expel it. The ship began to list, and the fate of the Titanic was sealed. In the engine room, the crew worked feverishly to mitigate the damage. They were fighting against time and an unstoppable force of nature. The ship's architect, Thomas Andrews, surveyed the damage and made a chilling realization: the Titanic was doomed. Despite the crew's best efforts, the Titanic was mortally wounded. As water flooded the compartments, the unsinkable Titanic began to sink. Following the collision, a series of unfortunate events unfolded in quick succession. The Titanic, dubbed the unsinkable ship, was now facing its worst nightmare. The iceberg had punctured the ship's hull, and water was mercilessly filling the compartments. The ship was designed to stay afloat with 4 of its compartments flooded, but the iceberg had torn open 5. The ship was doomed. The initial shock of the collision gave way to confusion and panic among the passengers and crew. The enormity of the situation was slowly sinking in, much like the ship itself. The unsinkable was sinking, and there was an air of disbelief mixed with fear. The ship's band tried to lift spirits by playing cheerful tunes, but the music was a stark contrast to the growing despair. The crew was in a frantic rush to launch lifeboats, but the Titanic was ill-prepared for such a disaster. The ship could carry up to 3,547 passengers, but there were only lifeboats for 1,178 people. The officers in charge of the lifeboats were underprepared and overwhelmed, leading to further chaos. Some lifeboats were launched half-empty, while others were overcrowded. The Women and Children First protocol led to many lifeboats being launched with empty seats, while men were left aboard the sinking ship. As the ship tilted at an alarming angle, people scrambled for survival. Some jumped into the freezing water, hoping to be picked up by the lifeboats. The ship's lights flickered and then went out, plunging the sinking ship into darkness. The Titanic, once a symbol of human ingenuity and luxury, was now a scene of utter devastation. The mighty ship was reduced to a sinking mass of metal, its grandeur swallowed by the merciless ocean. In the early hours of April 15th, the Titanic disappeared beneath the waves. The unsinkable had sunk, taking with it over 1,000 lives and leaving behind a legacy of one of the greatest maritime disasters in history. In the early hours of April 15th, the Titanic disappeared beneath the waves. The sinking of the Titanic was a disaster of monumental proportions. It was an event that sent ripples through society, altering the course of history and impacting the lives of countless individuals. In the immediate aftermath of the tragedy, the Cunard Line's Carpathia, a ship that was nearly 4 hours away, raced to the scene. Despite the perilous conditions and the immense challenge ahead, the crew of the Carpathia remained undeterred, their determination fueled by a shared sense of humanity. They arrived at the wreckage site in the early hours of the morning, a beacon of hope amidst the icy desolation. The rescue efforts were grueling, fraught with danger and despair. Yet the crew of the Carpathia pressed on, pulling survivors from the icy Atlantic waters. Their heroic actions saved over 700 lives that fateful night, a testament to human resilience and the power of compassion. In the wake of the disaster, inquiries were launched on both sides of the Atlantic. The investigations revealed a litany of shortcomings, from inadequate lifeboat provisions to the disregard for ice warnings. The tragedy of the Titanic exposed the fatal flaws in maritime safety measures of the time, leading to sweeping changes in safety regulations. The International Ice Patrol was established to monitor iceberg threats, and the number of lifeboats required on ships was significantly increased. These reforms, born out of tragedy, have undoubtedly saved countless lives since. The legacy of the Titanic extends far beyond its historical significance. It has permeated popular culture, inspiring countless books, movies, and even musicals. It continues to captivate our collective imagination, a symbol of human ambition and the tragic consequences of hubris. Yet, perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Titanic is the lessons it has taught us. The Titanic disaster reminds us of the power of nature and the limitations of human ingenuity. It serves as a stark warning against complacency, urging us to always strive for better, safer ways of traversing our world's vast oceans. Above all, it underscores the importance of human life, reminding us of the immense value of each and every individual. The Titanic, once a symbol of human achievement, now serves as a stark reminder of our fallibility. The echoes of its tragic tale continue to resonate, a testament to the enduring power of its story and the invaluable lessons it continues to teach us.